Sitting in a room full of prospective voters in our NewsNation headquarters in Chicago, Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. made his case to the American people to support him as the 2024 Democratic nominee for president. Now the question is, what did voters think? In a wide-ranging 90-minute conversation, Kennedy at times looked to connect the present to the past, hearkening back to the old Democratic Party closely tied to his family legacy. When I asked him why voters should support him over President Biden in the primary, this is what he said.
And I'm running because I feel like my party has lost its way, that the values that my uncle represented, my father represented when they were Democrats have been neglected, let's say.
He drew a direct connection to former President Kennedy when discussing his position on Russia's war with Ukraine.
When my uncle was president and his military apparatus wanted him to go to war with Vietnam, with Laos, with Cuba, with the Soviet Union during the Berlin crisis in 1982, he said, you have to put yourself into the shoes of your adversary if we're going to have peace. You have to be able to put yourself in the shoes of the adversary and see the world from their perspective and recognize their legitimate security concerns.
Last night was an opportunity for voters to get a deeper understanding of Kennedy's policy positions. He made clear that he disagrees with Biden's strategy, calling it a proxy war against Russia, the issue in Ukraine. And he was challenged on what message brokering a peace deal with Putin would send to the rest of the world. So let's bring in NewsNation political contributor Johanna Maska and Julia Manchester, national political reporter for The Hill. Johanna, in order to win the nomination, Kennedy will have to do something no primary challenger has done in modern U.S. history: unseat an incumbent president from his own party. It hasn't been done in 167 years. He's been polling in double digits, but still well behind President Biden. Based on what you heard last night, does he have room to expand his support?
Not for the Democratic primary voters, but Elizabeth, you asked the right question. You know, a lot of his views were out of step with Democratic primary voters, whether it's the view on inflation, he can't do anything, you know, the view on guns, he can't do anything. But the truth is, if he ran as a third-party candidate, which you asked him and he didn't rule out, that would upend the entire system for Democrats. And so he absolutely has a base as a third-party challenger, because there's a lot of people who are skeptical of government right now, which is a little dangerous. But I thought you pushed back very well on many of those things he was bringing up.
Thank you. He is tapping into something in this country. He's very much in the zeitgeist, and there's a lot of talk about him right now. And Julia, we just heard Kennedy's stance on the Ukraine war and his criticisms of President Biden's handling of the conflict. But most Democratic voters support Biden on that issue. What potential voters is he trying to reach when he's talking about negotiating with Putin?
Yeah, Elizabeth, I think he's looking to go beyond the Democratic base, or at least it would seem like he's trying to do that. In fact, it wasn't just this issue on what's happening in Ukraine. We're also seeing his comments on gun control, for example, saying he didn't think that was ultimately the solution to solve gun violence, as well as his comments about President Trump, saying he's proud to have President Trump say he likes him. It seems like Kennedy is almost working to appeal to more conservative voters, or voters that lean to the right. So I think we saw that last night. And, you know, from Republicans that I talked to, look, I don't think they mind this chatter about Kennedy, because they think it somehow creates this image that Kennedy is somehow, exposing a vulnerability President Biden has. At the same time, though, I want to emphasize, even though Kennedy is polling some places in double digits, he has a long way to go until he's a serious threat to Biden. There was a poll out of New Hampshire earlier this week that showed Biden 59 points ahead of Kennedy. So it's still a big gap.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.